Peace and blessings, Empowerment Tribe. Welcome to the WUCUSU Lounge, where we talk personal growth, progress, and personal transformation. I'm your host, Brother Ajay Taimba, educator, author, community organizer, empowerment coach, and author of WUCUSU, a self-empowerment handbook. So relax, tune in, and let's get ready to build together. Peace and blessings to my WUCUSU tribe. It's always good to be here, family. I feel blessed to be able to do what I love to do, what I'm good at doing, to serve the people I love and whom love me is a blessing. It's heartfelt, and I don't take this platform or the responsibilities that come with it lightly. I don't take you lightly. Well, family, today I'm in a celebratory mood, which I am in most of the time, if I'm honest. Today is the last live weekly WUCUSU Lounge broadcast of 2025. I decided that early on, that on December 8th, I would take a break. I would be able to recalibrate, look at some things, tweak some things. I have, as you know, another YouTube channel that I run, so I have to take time to, kind of go back and see the things I need to retool and improve and how to do so. So I'm going to take the remainder of the month to do that, and also to concentrate on Harlem Liberation School's YouTube channel. I have some other projects, exciting projects coming up for the new year that I need to prepare for. So let me just say at the outset, I thank all of you who have come out. Some of you have come through every week. I know my brother Ishmael Bey. I think he's been in attendance at every single one of these, just about. I thank you, Brother Ishmael. I thank my lovely queen for being very supportive and coming out. Quite a few of you have come through, and I appreciate that. Today, family, for our last WUCUSU Lounge broadcast for this year, we're going to be talking about something that is so highly, highly important. And the topic is what you see is what you get. The power of visualization. Now, of course, I have some notes I take to make sure that I don't miss anything important. However, today I want to start off by going off script, so to speak. I want to talk very quickly, off script, about the power of visualization and make an appeal to you to take this idea of vision and visualizing things very seriously, because it has the power to transform your life and our communities and our families. It really does. First and foremost, you might have heard people in your family, your brother or sisterhood circle say things like, I believe that when I see it, right? You may have said it. And when you said it or heard it, I don't know if you realized that that's actually thinking in reverse to how things work in the real world, right? This world, I think because of capitalism maybe, is so very material based. You got to be able to touch it and taste it and see it. And it's like, listen, I get it. I understand that people are seeking proof, to be able to measure things and evaluate things in people. However, in the real world, throughout history, we have example of people who created things that weren't there yet, family. Right? So if you look at the Wright brothers, I believe in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, these are two brothers. They owned a bicycle shop. They repaired bikes. And they dreamed of being able to fly like birds in the sky, right? And they invented the first working airplane. Now, the airplane didn't fly for that long. I don't think it flew over 10 minutes. But the point is, there was no airplane before them. They actually saw it first, and then it came to be. So, contrary to what you've heard, you got to see it before you got to, after you see it, you believe it. The truth of the matter is, the way things work in the world we inhabit is people see it in their mind. They don't actually see it physically yet. They see it in their mind, in their imagination. And after they see something in their mind or imagination, they do the work creatively and in terms of sweat equity, putting in that work to bring what they imagine into fruition. This is very important. I remember reading Brother Malcolm's autobiography, and he wrote about how he was in the jail cell, in the prison, and he would have visions. He'd be fully awake. He'd have visions of him speaking in front of huge audiences and people clapping, and he couldn't really make sense of it, of what that meant. He had a vision of seeing Elijah Muhammad. This is all in the book, right? And these things came to pass. We know that there's a man who was Armenian. He was actually adopted. He was a college dropout, and he was brilliant. And he visualized, he imagined a device that could play music, play video, and that you could use as a cell phone. People thought he was crazy. He said, no, you need a separate device for each one of those things. He said, no, I see a device that does all three of those things. And well, how are you going to dial it? People would say. He said, oh, you're going to have a touch screen, and you're going to be able to scroll it. And then people thought he was crazy. His name was Steve Jobs. And when he created the Mac, the Apple computer, eventually the iPad, the iPhone, he changed the game. He changed the game. I remember getting, I think it was called it wasn't an iPad, but it was a big device. And it had a little screen. You could play video, and I could play music through it. And I was like, yo, this is dope. And then the next iteration of that was the phone. So he was able to see something that was not there yet. So when we say, I believe when I see it, that's the wrong way to think. What we should be saying is, I got to see it in my mind first. And if I can see it in my mind, I can produce it in the physical world. That's how it works, family. And there's so many stories of this, right? I'm going to get into a few of them a little bit later in the broadcast, but it's very important that we understand that our ancestors, I'm talking to those of us who are, we might say black, maybe African, African-American, or any derivative thereof. You know, we call ourselves different things. I don't get caught up on that. But our ancestors believed that the mind was the most powerful thing in the universe, our minds. And that what we could imagine, we could create. That today it's all about intellect. We think about intellect. It's all about computing things, solving problems, speaking well, writing well. And those things are part of intelligence. They're different types. But we often don't think about the imagination and how powerful that is. I remember being a young teacher in New York City, in the Bronx. And I was at a very a gang-ridden school. I'm just going to keep it real. The first school I taught at in 1997 was in the Bronx. It was gang-ridden. If the kids didn't like the teachers, they were not above slashing their tires, messing up their windshields of their cars. It was real like that. But if you connected with those students, they loved you, right? And I remember having a good connection with my students. I remember thinking, I wish there was a way that I could take my knowledge and my curriculum in my head and put it in a form where the students could see it. It would be visual and interactive. And that wasn't really there. We had transparencies and we had overhead projectors. And, when you wanted the TV, you had a huge 800-pound TV on a big cart that somebody would go and wheel in. And it was a big production. And now, what do we have? And I would envision one day, I would love to see a device that allows me to show video, write notes on it, show text, have students come up and manipulate stuff. And guess what? Now we got smart boards. I didn't see a smart board, but I would love to have a device that satisfied all these different things. So you wouldn't have to be lugging an 800-pound TV in and have all these separate things set up. It would be crystal clear. And I've taught in classrooms now that have these beautiful smart boards, these digitized boards. You can play video on them. Great sound quality, great video quality. Students can manipulate, go use the internet on the smart board. It's amazing. I remember being a young student and saying, man, I would walk through the streets or drive back home from work, from teaching, and I would see the deprivation and the poverty and the violence. I'd be thinking, man, I wish my lessons and the lessons of some of my colleagues at that school seem to be making a connection with some of the youth. We seem to be connecting and raising their consciousness, not just teaching them curriculum, but raising their consciousness. And I would say to myself, boy, I wish I had a classroom without walls. I would said this to myself all the time. Well, guess what, family? What we're doing right now, this is a classroom without walls. I'm not in your house. You're not in my home office right now, but yet I'm able to communicate with you. You're able to hear me. I'm able to put up, if I wanted to put up video, I could share my screen, right? I could bring you on. If I gave you the link, you could join me in the studio. It's a classroom without walls. And because this is on YouTube, technically speaking, that means billions of people in the world have access to this. That was my little way of envisioning things. I remember envisioning my daughters and what they'd be doing in life, and that they'd be smart and kind, proud to be who they are, where they come from, and would be what you might call not getting in a bunch of trouble and nonsense, and really doing something of value in the world. And that's how that turned out. There's power in visualization. Before we even get into the actual lesson, it's important you understand that when you see something in your mind, that's the beginning of the creative process. And when you can see something in your mind vividly, that's the beginning of taking it from the invisible idea to the physical product, right? So that's what I want to say first and foremost. Naturally, I want to welcome you all back. And I really want to dive into this topic of what you see is what you get, visualization, the power of it. And I want you to know that if you've ever wondered, you saw different people, Serena Williams and Oprah Winfrey and all these different boxers and all these different celebrities, Jay-Z, and you said, man, you know, how do they seem to manifest their dreams? Stick around, because we're going to talk a little bit about that, right? I want to define visualization in a way that's make it plain. It's the mental practice of imagining your goals and your dreams as if they've already come true, right? So, you know, when people pray, they go, please get me this, and when I want to have that, it's kind of futuristic, and it's asking an external entity. Visualization is placing you, is almost like assuming that the divine is in you, which I believe spiritually, that's how it is. We're manifestations of that divine force. It's not this external, we're part of that being, right? And when you visualize, you're going into yourself. It's almost like a meditation. And instead of saying, this is what I want, could you do this for me? It's a lot more affirmative. It's saying, this is what I see, right? And it's not daydreaming. It's an intentional process. It combines some focus, some emotion, because you're saying these things with feeling, some action. And I have to tell you, this is not mumbo jumbo. Athletes and entrepreneurs, creative people all over the world swear by this process, right? But how does it work? Now, at its core, visualization aligns your subconscious mind with your goals. It trains your brain to recognize opportunities that you would have normally missed, helps you to stay motivated, and helps you to take intentional action. But this isn't a bunch of nonsense. There's actual science behind this as well. So let's talk about that very quickly. the science behind visualization. You know, when you visualize your dreams or goals, your brain activates what they call neural pathways, as if you're actually experiencing what you're imagining. The brain cannot distinguish you actually doing something in the physical world from you imagining you're doing something in the physical world. Kind of like when you have a dream that you're eating cereal and you can feel that spoon in your hands, you could feel that bowl and taste that milk. You wake up suddenly and you don't see that bowl and that milk, right, and that spoon. But when you were dreaming, you felt these things, right? The mind can't differentiate between what you're physically, objectively doing and what you're imagining that you're doing. It's very important, right? And what this does is it primes your brain to work towards making what you're imagining come true. Now, studies show that athletes who mentally rehearse their performance improve almost as much as those who just physically practice. That's powerful, family. That's very powerful. I want you to think about what I just said. Our brains have something called RAS, the reticular activating system. It's like a filter, right? It shows us the things that align with our dominant thoughts, right? So visualization helps you program that RAS, that reticular activating system, to focus on opportunities and solutions instead of obstacles, right? So now you think, okay, IJ, I'm following you, I hear you, but how do I start visualizing? I want to give you 3 steps that you can use to master this practice. Number 1, you got to be specific. So you're not just going to say, I want to be successful. What does that mean? What does that look like? You got to give flesh and bones to that. So instead, you're going to picture yourself in your dream career. You're going to close your eyes by yourself, turn off all the noise, maybe put on a little meditative light music, and you're going to picture yourself in your dream career, wearing the clothes you want, earning the salary you desire, living in your dream environment, interacting with people. You're going to smell the smells and see the things and hear the music, everything associated with what it is you want to do. You're going to engage all your senses. So you're going to close your eyes. You're going to imagine the sights, the sounds, the smells, and the feelings. If you're visualizing being on stage, for instance, you're going to hear the applause. You're going to feel the lights. You're going to sense the excitement in the air, like you're really there. That's visualization, right? You're going to feel the emotion. Emotion is kind of the glue that makes visualization work. You're going to feel the gratitude, the excitement, the confidence, as if you have already achieved the goal, right? Now, when I started visualizing my goals many years back, I had read a book. I'm going to say I was in high school, by a man named Napoleon Hill, called Think and Grow Rich. And it sounds like it's a book about making money. But really, when he says rich, he means that literally, but also metaphorically, meaning think, imagine, use your subconscious mind to manifest the things you want in life. That's your wealth, your real wealth, right? And so I started doing these exercises that he had in the book. I would write down my goal, very specific. Today we would call it a SMART goal, right? And I would visualize myself. I would repeat this paragraph I wrote, memorize it, or repeat it in the morning, repeat it at night. I'd be standing in front of the mirror saying it to myself. I would take time and close my eyes and see myself achieving certain things. I wanted to be a co-captain of my varsity football team in high school. I visualized it, and I became a co-captain of that football team. I visualized myself. There was a young man who was a student, very braggadocious. I kind of didn't like his energy. And when I joined the team, he said, hey, man, I hear you're a running back. You ain't going to be as good as me. I ran 3 touchdowns in one game. That's what he's telling me. I didn't like this dude. I didn't like that spirit. So you know what? I said, all right, I'm going to meet him where he's at. And I would visualize that I'm going to run 4 touchdowns in one football game at Cardinal Hayes High School in the Bronx. And guess what, family? I did. I set a record. I'm sure by now someone's broken that. But this is way back in like 84, right? 85. I visualized that day after day, me running 4 touchdowns in one game, what I felt like. The crowd screaming, my coach running down the sideline, go, go, go. My father cheering for me, right? And that came true. And I have so many examples. When I went to Syracuse University, I wanted to be a student activist. And I read about other student activists in our kind of our black student union. And I said, you know what? I want to contribute greatly to this organization. I want to be a part of a long line of brilliant student activists, black student activists at Syracuse University. And I would visualize it, family. I would visualize me in the library going through those different old newspapers to brush up on the history, going through our organizational newsletters from way back in 1967. I would visualize being at rallies and protests, speaking to hundreds and thousands of people and getting things done, meeting with leaders in the city. All of that came true. So visualization is not something I just talk about. It's very personal to me. I practiced this since I was in high school, and it is partially responsible for some of my achievements. I read Brother Malcolm's book. Well, it wasn't his book, but it was a book of his speeches. I think it was called Malcolm X Speaks, and I said, I want to be like this man, right? And what did I do? I started visualizing myself as an author, writing books, speaking to big crowds, like being a professional speaker. I visualized these things, family, and they all came true. This is what I'm trying to tell you, right? So I would visualize myself speaking to large audiences, writing books, being at like book signings, and impacting people's lives. People come up and say, thank you. What you wrote or what you said really impacted me. So I would see stuff like that. And here I am, family, 57 years old. And I'm proud to say that most of the things I visualized, almost all of them, have come true. And guess what? I now have new things I visualize. My life isn't over. I feel like I got a whole new chapter of life. And guess what? I visualize myself being a prolific writer, having YouTube channels, starting an organization called Harlem Liberation School, family. These are things that were invisible ideas in my head that I visualized. And I had to do work. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't just me sitting down meditating. I did work, but the visualization process was the first piece, right? I want to give some other real life examples of people that you may be familiar with. And please don't get caught up in their politics and their ideologies. Right now, we're not talking about that. We just want to look at examples of other human beings who are celebrities, who have stories of visualization, how it helped them. So if you look at Oprah Winfrey, Jim Carrey, the Olympic swimming superstar Michael Phelps, these are just a few examples of some real life people who've used this technique of visualization to help them achieve their success, and they've been very public and open about saying so, right? Jim Carrey, so we all know the comedic actor Jim Carrey. I don't know if you knew for years, before he became rich and famous, he would write himself a $10 million check, and he would keep it in his wallet. This is Jim Carrey. He wrote himself a $10 million check, and it said, acting services rendered in the memo. And he kept it in his wallet, and he would take it out every day, and he would look at that. Visualization, right? Before he was famous. Now, years later, guess what? When he got his role in the movie Dumb and Dumber, guess how much money he made? It's amazing. Exactly $10 million. Go to YouTube and hear him talk about it. I want to say you don't have to be a celebrity, though, to experience and to utilize this powerful tool of visualization. Ordinary people like you and me use it to land their dream jobs, heal relationships, and even overcome health challenges. The key is consistency and belief. So I had a stroke back in 2013. My left side was very much weakened and paralyzed. My voice I talked like this. My face was drooped, and I could not type because my left hand just wouldn't respond the way it normally would. And one of the things I talked about this before, one of the things I did, I visualized myself typing. And in my mind, I would see myself typing certain words using my left hand. I'm saying without a computer board in front of me. I would practice that exercise. I visualized I would do my poetry that I wrote, my original poetry. I would say it, and I visualized a day where my voice would come back. And family, it did. I had to do the work of what? Exercising my fingers and using my voice, but I saw it. I saw my voice coming back. Visualization, right? The key here is you don't have to be rich and famous, this and that. You have to be consistent and you have to believe, right? Now, I know some of you are thinking this sounds too good to be true, Brother IJ. If it was that easy, everybody would just be visualizing $1 million and they'd be rich. Well, it's not magic per se. Visualization does not replace hard work, but it does complement it. It supports it. Visualization prepares your mind and your actions to make your dreams, your invisible dreams, real, right? Doubts are going to creep in. You're not going to see results immediately. But remember, your persistence is the key here, and your belief and the feeling that you give it. You have to believe, right? You might remember in Genesis, it says that the Lord said, "Let there be light." The verse doesn't go, "Can I have light? I hope I get light. I would sure love to have some light." No, it says, "Let there be light." It's a divine utterance. And those of us who are familiar with comedic science know the power of divine utterance, that what you see and say with feeling can come into being. That's what our ancestors believe, right? And also, you have to adjust your visualization. As your goals evolve, you change the things that you visualize. And you don't forget to celebrate the small victories along the way as well, right? Now, let's get practical for a minute. Let's talk about a few techniques that you can use right now as it relates to visualization. One would be guided meditation, right? So you use apps or YouTube videos, which are really good, to guide you through a visualization exercise. One of them that I like is this. You close your eyes and you're sitting in a movie theater by yourself in the front row. The curtains go back, you see the big screen, the music comes on, and you see yourself. You're on the movie screen. So first, you're going to see yourself on the movie screen achieving a certain goal. That's a visualization exercise. You're in the movie screen, you're in the movie theater by yourself. You look at the screen, it's you on the screen. You're looking at you. And the person that you see on that screen is achieving the things you want to do. That's the first thing that you do. Then after you do that for a few minutes, so for instance, you see yourself being a best-selling author. So you see yourself on the screen being awarded the New York Times best-selling author. You see yourself with a newspaper reading about how much your book sold. You see yourself at a book signing and people clapping and cheering and rushing to sign your book and telling you how great your book is. You at a press conference talking to the media about your book. You going on tours at different cities selling your book. And then, next time you do this, you're no longer in the studio looking at yourself on the movie screen. Now you're in the movie screen. Now you're looking, it's as if you're now the character of you in the movie. And you think about the sensations of what you're going through, how it feels when you're signing those books, the sound that pen makes, the eager anticipation that your fans have, your readers, for you to sign their book. People said, "Hey, Brother IJ, I love that book. I love this chapter when you talk about A, B, and C." Taking selfies and pictures with you and posting. You got to see all that. That's visualization, right? Okay. So that's one form of visualization exercise. And if you go to YouTube, you'll find plenty. Another thing you could try are vision boards. You create like a collage of images. You can cut them out from magazines. Take some glue, get some poster board. You can put pictures of you want the Range Rover Sport, the white with the red and black interior. Okay, put that on your vision board. You want to get a better physique, right? You might say something, cut it out that you're going to lose X amount of pounds, or a picture of a person in great shape. Then that would be you, or you going to a certain college, or getting a certain certification in a certain trade. You put those things on, or you traveling. You might have a plane, and you might have a picture of the country of Ghana. That's one of mine, right? And these are things you look at different parts of the day. You place it somewhere, you see it. And now you have a visual representation of your dreams, the things you want to happen. So when you're visualizing now, you have your eyes open, playing some soft music, and you're looking at each one of those things. That plane, the country of Ghana, yourself dressed a certain way, an award that you want to win, a place you want to visit, a picture that's symbolic of love, the relationship you wish to have, whatever it is. That's another way you could do it. You could also use make a digital vision board. And on this channel, I have a whole video devoted to what a vision board is and how to create one. So if you want to know more, go to that video. Just type in vision board on the channel, right? Another thing you could do is future journaling. So what you do, journaling is very powerful. When you write something down, it kind of embeds it in your brain. So you would write a paragraph or two about your life, but you're going to do it from the perspective of you've already achieved these dreams. So it's like you're writing about your future, right? And you got to be detailed, and you use your imagination. So it's like saying, I, for instance, would say, it feels so good. I'm filled with such anticipation as I ride in first class in this airplane taking me to Ghana, to the motherland for the first time. And I'm listening to the accents. I'm looking at the beautiful colors. I get off the plane. The people are so nice to me. I get off the plane. I see all hues of my people in this airport. And I smell the smells of oils, and I see the African fabric and people speaking in various languages, right? And I get into my car, and I'm going through the neighborhood markets, and our people are beautiful. You're writing this down as if you're actually doing it, right? That's future journaling. That helps you to visualize what it is you want. Another thing that you could do, and by the way, I do all of these, but I'm telling you I do mirror work. You know, it's not nothing, witchcraft, family. Some people think it's something evil. It's not that. You go somewhere for privacy and look at yourself in the mirror. The bathroom is a good place to do it. Look at yourself in that mirror, and then affirm your goals and say it with feeling as if you've achieved them. So, for example, I am a best-selling author. Looking right at yourself in the mirror. My business generates $10,000 a month. I've created an organization that provides medical services to those in need and those with low income. I build affordable housing, whatever. But you're saying it as if you're doing it already. So another way you could approach it is through gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful, energetic force that's very creative. So you might say, I'm so thankful for having the opportunity to create this organization that has provided affordable housing for poor people, right? So you can blend the gratitude with the visualization, right? Now, I want you to remember your mind is a powerful tool. What you see is what you get. You've heard that a million times. You've also heard the expression, it's mind over matter. You never thought about what that meant, though. It means that matter is not the important thing. It's not the primary force. Your mind, your mentality, your consciousness, your imagination creates matter, right? Yeah. So start visualizing your best life, family. Start today. And don't forget to share your experiences in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, like, subscribe, share it with someone who you feel needs it to hear this message. And shout out in the comments or the chat what you thought about this message. Until next time, I will see you again on WUCUSU Lounge in the new year, family. This is the last episode for 2025. I'll be uploading other things, but this is the last live broadcast, WUCUSU Lounge, for 2025. I'll see you in January, where we'll pick right up where we left off, and this time we will have interactive classes. I'll use Google Meet or Zoom, and we'll all be able to come into the link and see each other and talk and interact, right? Until next time, keep dreaming big. Visualize your goals, family. Think big. And if you can see it, you can achieve it. With that said, peace and blessings, family. Thank you so much for all your support. And I look forward to your continued support, and I will do my best to create the most value content for you in the upcoming new year. Thank you. Peace.